Welcome back. Russia said today it was suspending its participation in a crucial deal that allowed the export of Ukrainian grain, once again raising fears over global food supplies.
The wartime deal let grain flow from Ukraine to countries in Africa, the Middle East, and Asia, where hunger is a growing threat. Joining us to discuss this now is Natalie Melnyczuk. Did I say that correctly?
Absolutely.
Okay. A Euro-Atlantic security consultant at Wayne State University and the former director of NATO's mission in Ukraine. Thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you very much for having me.
So what kind of impact will this have here on not only the country, but world hunger?
Well, what happened today was perhaps monumental, but we won't know its impact for certain yet. Russia announced that it was going to pull out of the international grain deal, which was just settled a year ago. When the war first started, Russia came and placed its naval vessels around the Black Sea Fleet, all of Ukraine's ports, which were full of ships exporting grain. And what they did was prevent the grain from getting out to the world. This was tragic. This happened from February until July of 2022. Ukraine is one of the world's leading grain suppliers. The world depends upon Ukraine's food to prevent starvation. The world's most food insecure get most of their grain from Ukraine. I cannot emphasize this enough. So in the 5 months that Russia had embargoed and prevented the grain ships from leaving Ukrainian ports, grain prices skyrocketed by 20% on the global food market. Everybody's food prices were affected, and for the poorer countries, their food supplies were affected. They cannot pay any more than the most minimum prices for these food supplies. So wheat, sunflower oil, barley, and maize. Maize is a big crop as well. They were all cut short. And if that happens again now with the suspension of the UN and Turkish brokered grain deal, we would probably see the same phenomena again. Sharp increase in global food prices, short supply of grains, short supply of inexpensive grains to the world's most food vulnerable. Food insecurity is at an all-time high on our planet. It cannot be underscored. Millions will starve without Ukraine's food supplies. The wheat, the sunflower, the maize, and the barley.
And you don't think that maybe that could backfire on Russia in any way? Because that would make the world upset, or at least one would think.
The world's quite upset about the illegal invasion of Ukraine already by Russia. This exacerbates what is a tremendously bad humanitarian crisis across the globe, makes it even worse. Today, the Ukrainian foreign minister proclaimed that Russia is using food as a weapon. He called for a stop to the Hunger Games. He is in negotiations with the United Nations to see if the UN can convince Russia to come back to the grain deal and to get the grain moving again.
So let's try to understand this. One, why is Russia doing this? What is their explanation for doing this? And two, what do they want in return?
There's always the official versus probably the unofficial motive for Russia's actions, particularly highlighted in this war against Ukraine. So officially, Russia is saying they want the West to relieve some of the sanctions against them. And specifically, they want to have more access to our banking mechanisms in the West. We suspended SWIFT banking privileges to Russia last year. It was very difficult to get to that point, but we did. Russia is saying that without access to SWIFT and without proper access to insurance and a few other areas which are under sanctions by the West, that they will not allow the grain to keep flowing to the world. So of course, it's duress, it's blackmail, taking grain from food-starved populaces of the world and trying to barter relief and sanctions when the sanctions are in response to this invasion of Russian forces last February 2022.
We have these places that are part of NATO, and then they make deals, and we all agree to them, and then somebody diverts. What does that say about, I guess, the strength and power of NATO?
NATO tries to do whatever it can to support freedom and democracy in the Euro-Atlantic space, and then with its partner countries. NATO has around 40 partner countries currently. Ukraine borders several NATO countries. Last week, NATO had its annual summit. This year it was in Vilnius, Lithuania. Ukraine was hoping to be invited to become a member. That's not going to happen exactly right now in the midst of the war. But Ukraine has strong connections to NATO. They cooperate on military, economics, etc. Make no mistake, NATO is not involved in this war. NATO troops are not on the ground in Ukraine. However, Ukraine does get a lot of assistance from the West, really from over 60 countries, democratic countries of the world, that would rather not see authoritarianism and terror win over freedom and the rule of law.
Well, the way you outline this is certainly serious for not only what's going on over there, but for across the world.
Indeed.
Well, Natalie Melnyczuk, thank you so much for joining us, the Euro-Atlantic Security Consultant at Wayne State University. Thank you for being here, and we're right back after this.